I wanted to play water polo in college, so I got a scholarship to play water polo at UCLA, and that was pretty much the only thing I knew that I was going to do and that I wanted to do, and I knew that was the next 4 years of my life, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a career. Ultimately, it was my goal to play in the Olympics, but never really thought that would actually happen.
What would you say that your biggest weaknesses were, personally? Like, did you lack confidence in pursuing your dream?
Absolutely. I think confidence was a big one. I think for most girls, that's a big issue. For us is, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, right? For me, it was I'm not good enough. I wasn't the best swimmer. And so for me to go into college into a big environment on a really good team, I knew I'd have a lot of hard work, and I would have nightmares at night about my swim set the next morning and really dread it. And it was terrible. So confidence was a big one. And I think my physical limitations and weaknesses kind of interfered with my personal weaknesses as well by giving me a lack of confidence in those things.
How was the training for the Olympics, and how long did you train for?
I played in 2004 and 2008, so 2 Olympics. I trained for about 7 years. Joined the team in 2002, 2003. Obviously, it's not hardcore all the time. It's not, 2 years before the Olympics, 3 years before the Olympics, and you're going hardcore all out. Olympics are in 3 years, guys. Come on, let's go. Obviously, there's a big tournament every year that we have to prepare for. So it's either World Cup, World Championships, Pan American Games, or the Olympic Games. So there's always something big to prepare for. But the practices were pretty intense, especially as it got close to competition time. 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. So 10 hours of practice per week. The mornings were 3 hours of conditioning, weightlifting, swimming, leg work, and then we came back in the afternoon and did technical and tactical skills. So played water polo.
Did you play any other sports besides water polo?
I played softball and volleyball in high school. I thought I was going to go to college to play softball, but the parents were a little crazy. Not my parents, the other parents were a little nuts. And the kids, it just wasn't really my thing. And so I started playing water polo when I was in 8th grade and into my freshman year and all through high school. And I liked it. I liked how healthy I felt, how hard it was, and how different it was, because I didn't feel like I had it mastered, and I still don't. That's the great thing about it. So that's why I liked it so much.
What did you have to achieve in high school in order to play in college for water polo?
Well, there's no rubric as to things you can check off. Okay, for me to get a scholarship and be successful, I have to, win CIF or be first team all league or whatever, all county. Those things happen, but it was totally different. Water polo was totally different when I played than when you guys were playing. My freshman year, there was no CIF girls water polo. My sophomore year was the first year there was CIF water polo. There were only 3 divisions. So now it's exploded, and there's so many more programs. So my stories, you can't really put our stories together because it's a completely different story. But I think obviously my lack of confidence was something that was evident to coaches and to my family and to certain people who saw it. And I was lucky enough to have people say, hey, bring it in here and let's talk about it. I think you can do this. And they gave me really good support. I felt like I had the right people around me to make me successful, and then I also had a little chip on my shoulder, like, oh, you don't think I'm good enough? Okay, I'm going to show you. And so I think that's helped me through sports, but also beyond, because I'm only 30. I retired at 27, 28, and I was done playing my sport, and I still have a lot of my life left to live. So I think it's cool to learn those life lessons young, so then when you move forward, you can take that experience with you, whatever you do.
Can you describe a time when you felt that your work or your dream was criticized?
Oh, well, playing college sports, there's the people that, you just get backpacks and shoes and free clothes, and you get to fly around everywhere and get treated special, and obviously, you get special classes and all that stuff. And so what I thought I would do was any class that had more than 10 athletes in it. By the time I was a junior and senior, I decided to drop it and get into a class with only a few athletes, if any. because I didn't want to be labeled as just another athlete. I wanted to graduate with honors. I wanted to be on the director's honor roll. I wanted to show that I belong there, not only because I play sports, but because I belong there academically. It was a great experience for me to go to such a great school, and I was awarded it through my sport, but at the same time I felt that I deserved it. So I think those types of challenges, and then also the Olympics, it's not like you get paid a lot of money. You get a stipend, and then you get taxed at the end of the year, and you have to live in, scrape by and with your apartment and your food and everything else. And it's getting better for water polo. They're getting more sponsorships and a little bit more help, but you're definitely not doing it for the dough.
You said going to the Olympics was like your dream, so how did it feel to actually like fulfill that and go through it like you planned and like finish and kind of sell it off after that?
When my coach told me I was going to make the team, I didn't believe him. I was kind of like in denial. I was like, stop messing with me, dude. Like, it's not funny, And he was like, right now you're going to make the team. And I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell, my family, my brothers, the newspaper guy who kept asking me. I didn't want to tell him. So are you going to make the team? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And guy calls me and says, how come you keep telling people that you're not going to make it, or that you don't know if you're going to make the team? And for me, I needed to see it in print. I needed to see it on paper. It was published. You couldn't take it back. You couldn't say, oh, sorry, just kidding, I'm going to put this other person on the team. So when that happened, I think it was like, wow, I did it. And that was one of my biggest achievements was making that team. For the first Olympics, walking in opening ceremonies was really cool because I felt like a blubbering buffoon, because I was like happy, sad, excited, scared, nervous, but I had like every emotion like flowing through me at the same time. I probably had snot and tears and everything happening at the same time. In 2008, I was used to it, and I had been there before, but the cool thing was there's a guy in front of me that was like me 4 years before. He was the blubbering buffoon, but I smiled, and he was like, this is awesome! He was jumping up and down. I'm like, that's cool, So it was neat to have two different experiences. But that feeling of achieving it and doing it was really cool. But it's only 2 weeks. You prepare for 4 years for 2 weeks, and we're the lucky ones who get 6 games under the lights in the Olympics. How cool is that? Some people have 30 seconds. One shot from a bow and arrow, or one lap down the pool, or one lap around a track, and then they're done. Or if they're lucky enough to move on, that's cool. But I think it's pretty neat that I had 6 opportunities to play a game in each Olympics, so that was pretty cool.
Since after you played and going to be able to coach and having to win the Junior Olympics last year for the U18 girls, how does that feel? Like, having to accomplish that after for coaching?
I think it's really cool. I won 1800 JOs when I was 18, when I was a senior in high school. So I remember how cool that was and how that felt to win. And again, the game was very, very different. So this is much more of an accomplishment for you girls to have won that tournament last year. But for me, like I tell you guys every day at practice, it's not about me anymore. I could be at home making dinner and watching some stupid sitcom or hanging out with my kid and things like that. But I want to be here with you guys because I remember all those little experiences, not even really playing in the Olympics or going on all the fancy trips and stuff, but making the friends and building those memories and having those experiences that I will take with me forever. And it's not even, I remember very little detail about the games we played. And I played in a lot of them, and I rarely sat out. But it was like, I don't really remember that. That's not the memorable part for me. The memorable part was the challenge that led up to it. And people saying you're not good enough, you're not fast enough, you're only good at this, you're only good at that, you'll never do this, you'll never do that. And so that was memorable for me in a good way, saying, okay, I step up to it, I met it, I challenged it, I was able to conquer it. And so hopefully I can help you guys do that in some way, even if it's not here, maybe you take that somewhere else with you in the future.
Do you have any advice for people, like, for how to pursue their goals, like what is a good way to
I think, obviously from my experience and from watching my brother is a junior at UCLA right now, and he's studying applied mathematics. I don't know how we came from the same person. I don't get it. But at the same time, he's struggling in math. but he's incredibly smart. And so what I hope he learns, and it's a lesson I hope you guys learn too, is maybe that's not what he really wants to do. And maybe he likes numbers, maybe he can go into engineering, or maybe he can go into business, something like that. He doesn't have to do math. You know what I mean? And so something you may think you want to do may not be the right fit. And you may think, I really want to do it, but I just, and maybe, sometimes, the whole thank God for unanswered prayers kind of thing, like right now in your life, you guys are juniors and seniors in high school, you got this boy you got your eye on, and he asks you out to the prom, but then he breaks your heart. But then 10 years later, you find out that he's got 2 kids and he's not married and he didn't finish college and he's kind of a loser, and it's like, I'm really glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that kind of thing, like try to handle failure in stride and say, you know what, maybe this is good for me, maybe something needs to be learned from this, and take time to reflect on each failure and each experience that you guys have and say, okay, what can I take out of this? What can I get out of this? What can I learn from this? And try to put a positive spin on it.